Congratulations on getting your PhD.
Thank you.
And now MD comes next in like 15 months.
Yeah.
So why did you choose to do MD, PhD? That sounds like a whole lot of hard work.
Yeah, so I knew that I always wanted to do research because I just love doing experiments and answering questions that I have. But I also knew that I wanted to take care of patients, so patient care, especially women's health care. So why not just do the research that I'm interested in that will help the patients that I want to help? So I looked for different ways to do that. You can do it just through medical school by getting your MD and then doing research afterwards. But you still have to pay for medical school and you don't get the dedicated time to learn how to become a researcher. So then it led to the MD PhD program, which you can get your medical school and your PhD covered, and you get a stipend every month, but you get both of the training for becoming a physician and then also being a researcher. So that's why I decided to go through that route. Even though it's 8 years, the time is going to pass anyway. So if you just did MD, that's still 4 years. If you just do PhD, that's 4 years. So just combine them for free and you get paid.
Well, it sounds like a whole lot of work. It sounds like it's compressed and study all the time between the PhD and MD.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the work is going to come regardless. Like, med school is really just tough. Like, they call it drinking from a fire hose, so you just try to get whatever information you can in. But then the PhD is more flexible, so it just depends on what you study, like how often you have to take any exams, or like really you're just charting your own path for what you are interested in. So it's nice in that way, where you don't have anyone telling you what you have to do, you just follow your own interests.
Okay, so what are you interested in doing? So what's your research about?
Yeah, so my research is in reproductive immunology. So studying how the immune system helps you get pregnant, stay pregnant, and have healthy outcomes. And really, I study this subset of immune cells called natural killer cells, and how they develop from the blood and enter the uterus to become the specialized cells that help with pregnancy.
Wow, that's beautiful. How much research has been done on that, and what's the gap in research?
Yeah, so let's see. They started researching, I want to say around 70 years ago or so, like understanding that there are immune cells that can go into tissue and help with the normal, like physiological responses that tissues have. And they found that there were these, they called them large granular cells, which basically just immune cells that had a lot of these like granules that help with different effector functions that the cells have. And eventually they discovered that they were this subset called natural killer cells, which they got their name because they were just found to be able to naturally kill different pathogens. But in the uterus, they found out that it actually is helpful for creating like the spiral arteries needed for placentation and for helping fetal growth. So over time, they identified exactly how these cells come about and really what they're doing and how they are helping along with the pregnancies. So even though we know that there are different subsets and these NK cells are around, we don't specifically know how they do the functions. And I guess it's fun because a lot of research you can look at taking away those cells. So a lot of the experiments done in mice, they take away any natural killer cells while the mice are becoming pregnant, and they found out that there are a lot of pregnancy losses and dysfunctional growth of the placenta. So that's how we're understanding that these cells are important for the normal functioning of a pregnancy.
Okay, and the placenta?
Yeah. So growing the placenta and then eventually having the pregnancy in the end.
How did you generate this interest?
So really, I was always interested in the immune system and like how at first I thought I was interested in viruses, so like how viruses come in and attack the host, but then I realized I'm more interested in how the body fights off viruses. And then that eventually combined with my interest in women's health generally. So like making sure women specifically, have healthy outcomes with reproductive health or just general like gynecological health. So then I looked for ways to combine both of those. So I knew I wanted to do OBGYN, although I was open to other areas, and I still am. I am 95% sure I want to do OBGYN, but I still had the love for immunology. So finding a way to combine both of those led me to the field of reproductive immunology.
So you'll get your MD in about a year, and then after that, you plan to specialize in OBGYN?
Yeah, so going to OBGYN residency. Yep.
Okay. So right now you're not doing any patient care, or you are doing some of that?
Right now I'm about to start patient care. So I go back into my first, when you go into third and fourth year, you have to do your medical clerkships. So there are a number of different ones you have to hit. So family medicine, internal medicine, OBGYN, surgery, pediatrics, and then psychology, psychiatry, etc. So what I'm starting with is family medicine. So I do that, and then I rotate through all of them for a year and some change.
All right. So you're relatively young. Very young.
Yes. I mean, yes, I'm 30. Yes.
Right.
I basically went straight through. So, went to undergrad, finished undergrad when I was 21, 22. So then I went straight into the MD PhD program. So, 22 plus 8 years.
Yeah.
Gets you up to 30.
Scholarship.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, full scholarship?
Yeah, for undergrad, I got full tuition, and I also got supplement scholarships, to cover the room and board and stuff. But yeah, full scholarship for undergrad, and then full scholarship now.
Congratulations. So what advice do you have for my mentees or any young person that is interested in research? Would you direct them towards PhD, MD, or combined like yours?
Yeah, I guess I would really have them look into what they like about research. So for me, I did like doing experiments and answering questions, but for a goal. So the goal of helping someone who maybe has infertility issues, or the goal of understanding this process so that we can down the line help someone clinically, not just for the sake of understanding. So if you just like investigating and you like doing experiments, I would petition for you to go down just the PhD path. But if you really want to connect that back into how to help human the clinical realm, then I would say MD and PhD. You can still do PhD and do some sort of clinical orient to your research. The only reason why I would say PhD is if you don't sort of have the grades for MD, because it's very rigorous and it's a competitive program. And PhD, as long as you can get in, you will have a free ride, and you'll get a stipend every month in order to do that research. So if you want to do the clinical aspect too, but you're not so keen on research, then I would just say MD. Don't spend 8 years doing something that you don't really like. Just go ahead and do the 4 years, bite the bullet, because if you're interested in research, you can always pick that up as an MD afterwards. So yeah, just really think about and consider what your future will look like, and then also how much time you want to invest in making that future.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Morgan Greene.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
No problem.